Good evening and welcome to Sports Federation TV. My name is Alton Davids. I'm your host. As you know, the show is about what makes sport happen within the Western Cape. We chat a range of different codes of sport. There are 73 codes of sport registered with the SASCOC. One of its members is the Western Cape Provincial Sport Confederation. One of its members is Livesaving. We join in studio Mr. Dylan. Tommy, you well?
I'm good, thank you, Alton.
Good, good.
Glad
Thanks
to
for
be
coming to come and chat to us about Livesaving. Where and how is Livesaving happening? Let's start there.
Okay, look, Livesaving in the Western Cape particularly, we have 24 clubs spread across the beaches. The large majority of those are in the Cape Town district, and we've got clubs from Big Bay on the cold water side, Atlantic side, all the way through to Kochelbaai, the nature reserve. And then there is at the moment we're struggling to get some clubs established in the Overberg district and Manus, that area. But then in the Eden districts we've got 8 clubs going there as well. So that's where we operate in terms of the beach lifesaving. And then we have 3 pool lifesaving clubs in Cape Town, at Blue Downs Pool, Belleville Pool, and then Ravensmead Pool as well.
And the beach component is a huge component, but it's a necessary component, and obviously overworked from the spring all the way through until March, essentially, I think.
Yeah, look, the beach side of lifesaving firstly is got 2 sides to it. It's a sport, yes, but essentially it's a community service where our volunteer lifeguards spend basically from the September school holidays every weekend right through to the Easter weekend. So every weekend you'll have lifeguards on duty. They're all volunteers. They get trained to do various first aid, rescues and so on. And so besides competing and training to compete, they have to, be active on the beach as well.
Is that mandatory, Dylan?
Look, to compete at our national championships, you have to have a minimum of 20 hours of voluntary service to enter the national championships. So I think we're one of the only sports that forces you to get involved in the community and do some community work. If you don't qualify, you don't get to compete.
That's hard criteria. But I mean, the guys love it. They sit on the beach half the time in their red shorts, bare-chested, and enjoy the sunshine, unless something critical happens.
Yeah, it's not always that glamorous. Yes. There are certain beaches, like if you're out at Clifton, I guess it looks very glamorous there. Yes. But clubs along the Falsbeck coast have to put up with the southeaster, large crowds, often not well behaved or good at swimming or knowledgeable when it comes to swimming. So they battle with that, and it's a lot of hard work. They start at 10 in the morning, they finish at 6 in the evening. So it takes a lot of dedication as well, and I mean, at the end of the day, it's their time. It costs them to get to the beach, it costs them to buy the kit they're wearing. So it's a real sacrifice, and a lot of our members are youngsters. They're at school, they're at university, and our age range with the lifesaver component is from 16 to about 24, 25, and then they get a family and go out a bit, and then when their family starts, growing, they get back into our master section, and then the kids join our nipper section. So it's a family sport.
And that's typically what happens across the sporting spectrum, that youngsters participate in sport, they finish school, sometimes in university they stay in, otherwise you will lose them, and they come back, rightly like you say, once they're married and settled. How do we incentivize people potentially to stay in lifesaving? Is there some kind of a merit award system that you guys have in place?
Look, within our club structures, there's what we call life membership. So if you've been with a club for a certain number of years and done that voluntary duty, you get life membership. So you always have access to that club. A lot of clubs have other sports linked to it, which are part of lifesaving essentially, like surf skiing and prone paddling, which is the boards. So the members still come down, they get to, stack their equipment on a rack in the clubhouse, and that's the way of keeping them engaged. We also have a masters division which starts at 30, so it's trying to bridge that gap so they don't disappear completely. But I think in today's environment, having to find a job is a priority, and sometimes work commitments don't always allow you to be active in a sport and that. So we're trying to bridge that gap with that. In terms of lifesaving as a national body, we also acknowledge members who have been with the organization for more than 25 years. We just recently honored many of our members with certificates for 25 and 50 years service to the organization. So those are the kind of things we're trying to put on so that members can stay active and be involved. We also try and encourage them to go into other facets like coaching and administration. So it's not that much, in terms of training and sitting on the beach,
Yes.
attending a few meetings or offering up a Sunday to coach a group of youngsters.
Darren, we'll come back to the beach because at the end of the session I want to talk about beach safety. So let's go to the competitive side. You spoke about nippers. Explain the format of competitive lifesaving.
Okay, in terms of age groups, we start at 8 years old and we run up to 15, and that's what we call a nipper section. So they're basically the future lifeguards. And then from there you get your 16-year-olds to 19-year-olds, those are your juniors. And then above 19 till any age can compete in a senior age group. And as I said, at 30 you can become part of the masters group. We essentially, lifesaving covers running and sprinting on the beach. There's the swimming events in the water. And then you have paddling events, either using a paddle on a surf ski or using your hands on a what we call a Malibu board, and that's prone paddling. So we cater for a diverse range of athletes. We have athletes, from an athlete background. We have swimmers. We have canoe. Well, they've actually started out in lifesaving and went into canoeing. Guys like Hank McGregor and those kind of guys, Jasper Mocker from Fishhook. They started in lifesaving. So we cater for those groups. Our national championships is the inter-club championships. So at one national championship, say at the Nippers, we have about 40 clubs competing and about 700 youngsters from 8 to 14, 15 competing in these various events.
And I mean, it's a huge competition just to coordinate all those people and the schedule of events. Because you've got flags, you've got sprints, and then obviously the water activities. How do we rank as a life-saving nation internationally?
We just recently come back from the World Life-Saving Championships. And the World Life-Saving Championships is a 21-day event that has inter-countries, that has inter-clubs, that has masters. So in the international event where the countries competed against each other, the South African senior team finished 6th and the junior team finished 8th. On the beach side of lifesaving, that is a combined pool and beach. On the beach side, I'd say we'd rank 3rd in the world. Wow. In the Inter-Club Championships, on the junior side of the Inter-Club Championships, Durban Surf Lifesaving Club from KwaZulu-Natal, they were the junior Inter-Club World Champions.
Wow.
So we currently have a club that's a champion of the world. And then we've got individual competitors who are also doing quite well. I think you've had him on your show before, Raul de Mornay.
Yeah.
He came back with 2 silver medals. He got 2nd in sprints and flags in the inter-country event. And then in the inter-club event, he won the flags title, so he's the world inter-club flag champion. And his club, Falls Bay from the Sunrise Beach in Muizenberg, they came 3rd in the beach relay event. Nice. So internationally we did quite well. We're obviously hoping to improve performances for our next World Championships in 2018. But we're up there, and we're the best country in Africa when it comes to sport of lifesaving. And we're trying to keep up with the rest of the world, and we're looking at improving our performances going forward.
As the president of Lifesaving South Africa, how does that make you feel?
Look, I'm proud of our achievement in the recent championships. Obviously, after events, you see things and you could have done things a bit differently. But I'm very positive in terms of where we're going. Like I said, our junior, we are the club champions at the moment, or are one of our clubs. Our junior performances, I think at the pool event, they broke about 8 South African records, so it's looking good for the future. So those juniors, we're looking at incorporating them into the next World Championships, and as well as for the 2020 World Championships. So I think we're on the right path. It does take a lot of hard work and a lot of time, and like I said, we're all volunteers, even the guys that sit on the beach. So, but we're moving in the right direction, so I'm very happy about that.
Is there a secret to that success, or is it club-based?
We do depend on the clubs to recruit members and to get them involved in the sport. But we have a high performance program. So over the course of the year, we have various training camps which take place around the country. We've just had one in Johannesburg. That was the pool-based one. and the next one is scheduled for early next year. So what happens at the national championship, squads are selected. There's the academy squad, which is mainly juniors, and then the high performance squad, which are seniors. And they then brought to these training camps, and we've got coaches that work with them, sports scientists that assist as well. So I think in the last few years, that has been our focus, is to get more training camps done before events. Yes. Prior to this, if I look about 6, 7, 8 years ago, we'd select a team, and the next time that team will get together is when they get onto the plane to go overseas. So now the team that went to World Champs had attended at least 3 or 4 training camps before they actually left, and it helped with the team morale, with the team building. And so I think that's what's led to the improvement in the performances. Yeah.
If you've just tuned in, we're chatting to the president of Livesaving South Africa, Mr. Dylan Tommy, who's telling us that South Africa is ranked in the top 3 in the world for lifesaving. Dylan, let's come back to the sea. Give us some of the tips that we need to be thinking about going into the holiday season, because to make your volunteers' lives easier.
Look, if we look back at last season or last summer, there were a lot of reports in the newspapers about drownings that took place, especially in the Cape Town area. Where it came to beach drownings, all the drownings took place at beaches that are not patrolled by our lifeguards. So that is a problem. We can't be everywhere. The city also provides lifeguards, and even those are not enough to cover every single beach. So we advise, encouraging people that if you want to swim, you should swim at the beach where there are lifeguards.
How do we find out where those lifeguards are? Is there on a website or somewhere that people can go check it out?
Look, there is the website. Livesaving has a website, livesaving.co.za. We also have an app that we've partnered with called Beaches. You can download it on the iStore or on Play Store, and that gives you all the beaches and whether the lifeguards are on duty and the conditions at the beaches on those days. So we're encouraging everybody to swim at the beach. We know people visit the beach and try and get away from the crowds. Yes. But then that's fine as long as you don't try and go and swim, because a rip current can form at any stage, and that's where the drownings have occurred in terms of rip currents.
What is a rip current for us who don't know?
Okay, look, a rip current is basically a body of water that's leaving the shore and flowing back out, because you must remember all this water comes onto the shore and they need to find a way out or back. So a rip current is a fast-flowing stream of water that takes you out to sea. It doesn't pull you under, and at some point it does stop. So what we advise people to do when they get caught is not to panic, to float, wait for it to take you out, and if you want to swim out, rather swim parallel to the shore, and then into the wave line, and the waves will take you back. It's easy to spot a rip. It's the part where there's less waves, or the wave action is a bit lower than the rest of the area, and you'll normally see foam or sand flowing out towards sea. So you must try and avoid that, but preferably we want you to swim where our lifeguards are on duty.
And those are within demarcated flags usually?
Yeah, those flags are set up first in the morning, and then they moved according to the conditions. So those are what happens. The lifeguards will take a swim in the morning. They'll see if there's any rip currents, any holes, anything, and then they set up what we call a safe bathing area. So the 2 tips that you brought in are swim at the beach where there's lifeguards, and always swim between the flags.
And if I'm in danger, what do I need to do?
Like I said, don't panic, float. Raise your arm. The lifeguards on the beach will then see you, and they'll come out to you and they'll bring you back to shore. The other area off the beach, if I can just deviate for a minute, is a lot of the drownings took place at pools as well, mainly residential pools. And again, here we're asking parents to be vigilant. Fencing is a priority. You have to have your pool fenced off, because kids slip out the back door, and if there's no fence around the pool, they're in there. And if they're going into the pool, you need to be watching them all the time, because those were the 2 major issues with last season, is the drownings at residential pools and then at beaches where our lifeguards are not on duty.
Dylan, and that's irrelevant of the child's age, because often people think, oh, my child can swim. Anything can happen.
Yeah, I think that's a myth, that people think that swimmers can't drown. Top swimmers, Olympic swimmers, anyone can drown. At a pool, anything can happen. You can suffer a seizure or some kind of condition, you can drown there. And like I said, at the beach, you can get caught in a rip current, and if you don't know how to handle it, you can be the best swimmer. If you're going to try and swim against that current, you're going to get tired, and eventually you sink and drown.
For sure. In closing, give us what's on the schedule for Livesaving Western Cape and Livesaving South Africa.
Okay, for the Western Cape or Cape Town specifically, on the 18th of this month, there's a pool championship or gala at Strand Pool. On that evening, starting around about 6 o'clock. The next Sunday, the 20th, we have our nippers in action. I think they're going to be at Clifton. And then on the 26th of November as well, we have the Surf Rescue Classic, which takes place at Llandudno. And those are for the juniors and seniors. And then coming to Cape Town in the Western Cape in March 2017 is our national championships.
Nice.
So if people are interested, we're planning a major event in March next year, and we're trying to get as many people from the public down to introduce them to Livesaving and get them involved. So March the 30th to the 1st of April 2017, I look forward to seeing many of your guests at Camps Bay for our national championships.
And they can find all of this at livesaving.co.za.
That's correct.
Mr. Tommy, thank you for your time.
No, pleasure. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Remember the app, Beaches, download it, check it out. You'll know what's happening on the beaches within South Africa in the festive season. Let's take an ad break. We'll see you now.